Let's travel back in time to ancient Egypt, a land of pharaohs, pyramids, and profound mysteries. This ancient civilization, with its grand monuments and rich history, has fascinated people for centuries. Among the many rulers of this ancient land, one name stands out: Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun, often referred to as the Boy King, ascended to the throne at a very young age. His reign, though short, left an indelible mark on history. But who was this young pharaoh, and what was his life like before he became a legend? When we hear the name Tutankhamun, we often think of the glittering treasures found in his tomb, the golden mask that has become an icon of ancient Egypt, and the mysteries that surround his life and death. But beyond the gold and the grandeur, there is a story of a young boy thrust into the limelight of power. Tutankhamun was born during a time of significant upheaval and transformation in ancient Egypt. His birth name was Tutankhaten, which means living image of Aten. This name reflects the religious revolution initiated by his father, Akhenaten. Akhenaten, Tutankhamun's father, was a pharaoh who sought to radically change the religious landscape of Egypt. He introduced the worship of a single deity, the sun disk Aten, in place of the traditional polytheistic beliefs that had been practiced for millennia. This shift caused considerable turmoil and resistance among the people. Little is known about Tutankhamun's early childhood. He was born around 1341 BCE and was likely raised in the royal court, surrounded by the opulence and grandeur of the pharaoh's palace. Despite the lack of detailed records, we can imagine a young boy growing up amidst the splendor and intrigue of the Egyptian elite. At the tender age of 8 or 9, Tutankhamun ascended to the throne, becoming the ruler of one of the most powerful civilizations of the ancient world. Can you imagine the weight of such responsibility on such young shoulders? The young pharaoh would have been surrounded by advisors and officials guiding him through the complexities of governance. Despite his youth, Tutankhamun was expected to make important decisions and lead his people. The challenges he faced were immense. Egypt was still reeling from the religious upheaval caused by his father's reforms, and there was a strong desire among the populace to return to the traditional ways. The young king's reign marked a period of restoration. Tutankhamun and his advisors worked to reinstate the old religious practices and rebuild the temples that had been neglected or dismantled during Akhenaten's rule. This was no small task, and it required careful diplomacy and strong leadership. Though his reign lasted only about 10 years, Tutankhamun's legacy endured long after his death. The discovery of his nearly intact tomb in 1922 by Howard Carter brought him worldwide fame and provided invaluable insights into ancient Egyptian culture and history. Today, Tutankhamun remains one of the most iconic and well-known pharaohs of ancient Egypt, a symbol of the timeless allure and mystery of this ancient civilization. Tutankhamun's time as king was very important for Egypt. His reign marked a significant period of transition and restoration in the history of ancient Egypt. Born around 1341 BC, Tutankhamun ascended to the throne at a very young age, around 8 or 9 years old, following the death of his father Akhenaten. Despite his youth, Tutankhamun's reign was pivotal in reversing the radical changes his father had implemented. He helped the country heal after the changes his father made. Akhenaten had introduced a monotheistic worship of the sun disk Aten, which was a drastic shift from the traditional polytheistic beliefs that had been practiced for centuries. This caused significant upheaval and discontent among the people and the priesthood, who were deeply rooted in the worship of multiple gods. Akhenaten wanted everyone to worship only Aten, but Tutankhamun brought back the old gods. This was not just a religious shift, but also a political and cultural restoration. By reinstating the worship of the old gods, Tutankhamun aimed to restore the traditional balance and harmony that had been disrupted. He understood the importance of these deities in the daily lives of the Egyptian people and their role in maintaining the social and political order. He did this because he believed in them and wanted peace in Egypt. Tutankhamun's decision to restore the old gods was also influenced by his advisors, who were likely traditionalists and saw the return to polytheism as a way to stabilize the nation. The young king's actions were aimed at healing the divisions that had been created and bringing about a sense of unity and continuity. He reopened the temples that had been closed, and the priests were allowed to do their jobs again. The reopening of these temples was a significant move, as it not only restored religious practices but also reinstated the economic and social functions that these institutions provided. Temples were centers of learning, culture, and economic activity, and their closure had far-reaching impacts on Egyptian society. The names and pictures of the old gods, which had been removed, were carefully put back. This act of restoration was symbolic of the return to traditional values and beliefs. The erasure of the old gods' names and images had been a profound statement of Akhenaten's religious revolution, and their reinstatement was equally powerful in signaling a return to the old ways. The Egyptian people were happy about this. The restoration of the old gods and the reopening of the temples were met with widespread approval. Festivals and celebrations were held to honor the gods, and the people felt a renewed sense of connection to their heritage and traditions. This period of restoration helped to strengthen the social fabric of Egypt and brought a sense of normalcy back to the lives of its citizens. It wasn't easy for Tutankhamun to change everything back. The young king faced numerous challenges in his efforts to restore the old ways. There were those who had embraced Akhenaten's reforms and were resistant to change. Additionally, the process of rebuilding and restoring the temples and religious practices required significant resources and effort. Some people liked his father's ideas, but he was a good leader and brought back Egyptian art, culture, and made Egypt strong again. Tutankhamun's reign, though short, left a lasting legacy. He is remembered not only for his efforts to restore the old gods, but also for his contributions to the revival of Egyptian art and culture. His leadership helped to stabilize Egypt and set the stage for future prosperity. The young king's dedication to his people and their traditions ensured that his name would be remembered for generations to come. We often imagine kings as being strong and healthy, towering figures of power and vitality. This image is especially true when we think of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs, who were often depicted in statues and paintings as godlike beings with perfect physiques. However, the reality of their health was often far more complex and fraught with challenges. Take, for example, the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. Behind his iconic golden mask, which has become a symbol of ancient Egyptian splendor, lay a young man who faced numerous health problems throughout his short life. His tomb, filled with treasures and artifacts, tells a story of both grandeur and suffering. In recent years, scientists have employed modern technology to delve deeper into the life and health of Tutankhamun. Using advanced DNA tests and specialized X-ray techniques, researchers have been able to uncover details that were previously hidden beneath the sands of time. These technological advancements have provided us with a clearer picture of the ailments that plagued this young ruler. One of the significant discoveries was that Tutankhamun had a cleft palate. This condition, which affects the roof of the mouth, would have made it difficult for him to speak clearly. In a society where oratory skills were highly valued, this would have been a considerable disadvantage. The cleft palate is just one of the many health issues that scientists have identified. Another major health problem that Tutankhamun faced was a clubfoot. This condition, where the foot is twisted out of shape or position, would have made walking a painful and challenging task. Imagine the young pharaoh who was expected to lead his people and participate in various ceremonies, struggling with every step he took. The physical pain and the social stigma associated with such a condition must have been immense. In addition to these congenital conditions, Tutankhamun also suffered from infectious diseases. Evidence suggests that he contracted malaria multiple times during his life. Malaria, caused by parasites transmitted through mosquito bites, was a common and deadly disease in ancient Egypt. The recurring bouts of fever, chills, and fatigue would have further weakened his already fragile health. Malaria was a very serious illness in those days, often leading to severe complications and even death. The ancient Egyptians had some knowledge of medical treatments, but their understanding of diseases like malaria was limited. The repeated infections would have taken a significant toll on Tutankhamun's body, compounding his other health issues. These discoveries, made possible through the meticulous work of archaeologists and scientists, reveal that Tutankhamun was far from the robust and invincible figure that his golden mask suggests. Instead, he was a young man beset by numerous health challenges, each of which would have made his daily life a struggle. Yet, Despite these difficulties, he managed to rule as pharaoh, a testament to his resilience and determination. Even though he had these health issues, he still ruled as pharaoh with great courage. His reign, though short, left a lasting impact on history. The story of Tutankhamun is not just one of ancient splendor, but also of human endurance in the face of adversity. It reminds us that behind the grandeur of historical figures, there are often untold stories of personal struggle and triumph. Sadly, Tutankhamun died very young, when he was only 18 or 19. No one knows for sure why he died so young, and people have been trying to solve this mystery for a long time. Some experts think he might have been murdered because his mummy shows a head injury. Others believe he died from an infection or complications from his clubfoot or a broken leg. Malaria was also very common back then, so it's possible that's what killed him. We may never know exactly why Tutankhamun died, but it's likely that his poor health made him weak and vulnerable. The mystery of his death makes his story even more interesting to us today.